Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. How are y'all doing? I hope y'all are having an amazing day. I am back again with another interesting video. Like I said in my previous video that this is going to be part 2 of the previous video. If you haven't watched the previous video, I suggest you go watch it first and then watch this, because this is going to be a continuation, and I'm gonna link the first video down in the description box below. If you have watched the previous video, you would know that I talked about vampires. I talked about the various myths that have continued throughout history and how the vampire myth could have come into being as an amalgamation of all those various myths. Now in this video, I'm going to talk about a more scientific explanation of how the vampire myth could have come into being. Now for those of you all who are new to my channel, hi, welcome. And for those of you all who are an old viewer, welcome back. And I kind of forgot what I say in this part. Wait. For those of you all who don't know, I forget everything, so I write everything on my notepad. So I hope you don't mind if I read from my family talks a lot. So I hope you don't mind if I read from my notepad. And also I divide all my video into sections so that it is easier for you to understand. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Before further delay, we're gonna start the video. That was the worst intro ever. Now in the previous video, we talked about some myths all across the world that gave birth to this vampire myth, or like the idea of the modern vampire that we have today. Now, have you ever wondered where did those myths come from? The characteristics that a modern vampire has, like aversion to garlic or aversion to sunlight, or things like having fangs, drinking blood. Now, where did human beings get this idea, these ideas? Now, interestingly, there have been some diseases in human history that gave people similar symptoms like that of a vampire. Today, in this video, we are going to explore a few of such diseases. So the first disease that we're going to talk about today has a lot of symptoms that might resemble some characteristics of a vampire. Congenital erythropoietic porphyria, or CEP, is a rare disease whose symptoms includes blistering of the skin, often due to exposure to sunlight, photosensitive skin, hemolytic anemia, which makes a person look very pale, hypo or hyperpigmentation of the skin, that is lightened and darkened skin, also reddish discoloration of the teeth due to excessive porphyrin that gives the image of blood on teeth, and also exhaustion and weakness. And the patient might also develop an aversion to garlic, because having garlic worsen the symptoms. So as you can see, some of the symptoms are very similar to some of the characteristics of a vampire. For example, the teeth being red in color, because of which it might look like blood, or the person looking pale and sickly because of anemia, or their skin getting burned in sunlight. Now the next disease that also could have contributed in the creation of the vampire myth is known as hypohydrotic ectodermal dysplasia. Now this is a rare genetic disorder, and among various other symptoms, one of the symptoms includes missing teeth or teeth that's malformed. and oftentimes these teeth that grow, they are sharp and pointy that resembles fangs. The next disease that we are going to talk about is pellagra. Pellagra again is a very rare disease, and one of the symptoms of this disease includes again skin sores because of the exposure to sunlight. The next disease that might have led to the origin of the vampire myth is rabies. Now, this disease is spread through the saliva of animals, especially bats. Now, bats, as we know, they are associated with vampires. Vampires are regarded as shapeshifters who can either be in a humanoid form or in the form of a bat. Some of the symptoms of rabies includes dizziness, fatigue, fever, delirium, hallucinations, sensitivity to light, aggression, biting, and irritability. It is well known that a person or an animal infected with rabies develops a very aggressive nature, and they have the instinct to bite, and that's how they spread the virus, by biting another animal who then becomes the host for that virus. And like we know, in vampire myth, a vampire can transform another human being into a vampire by biting them. Most of these diseases are rare except for rabies, but they might not have been that rare at that time, because at that time people's lifestyles and their living conditions, the way they lived, they were different. And since at that time these diseases were not known and it didn't make sense to these people, maybe they associated these symptoms, these diseases, with something supernatural, and that could have actually probably contributed to the creation of the vampire myth. Because as we know, things that we cannot explain, with the available knowledge that we have, we tend to associate it with things that's beyond our control, that is not natural, something supernatural. So maybe these diseases, which didn't make sense to them, they probably tried to come up with an explanation for them, and that's what led to the creation of this vampire myth. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. But wait, it's not over yet. I was looking a bit more into this myth and I found some more interesting stuff. So I'm gonna make a part 3 of this video, where, you know, if you watched part 1, you would know that I left some things unexplained, or I didn't include some things, just touched upon it a bit. But there are a lot of interesting things in the story. So I thought that I should definitely make another part where I explain it. So part 3 of this video would be an explanation of what I didn't explain in part 1. Stay tuned for part 3. Thank you so much if you have watched this far. It really means a lot to me. And if you like this video, then subscribe to my channel for more videos like this, and like and share with your friends as much as you can. And I'm gonna be back again with another interesting video, with another interesting story. Thank you so much for your patience. I love you guys so much.